Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the house. It's been a little while, but we are now here in 2021 for night two of the New Year's Smash. I almost said New Year's Bash, but it's the New Year's Smash, night two. Night one had a lot of great matches and moments, following up an amazing tribute to the late and great Brody Lee. But night two promises a lot, including the main event of Darby Allin and Brian Cage for the AEW TNT Championship. So that's going to be very exciting. But we'll try to go in running order of what I anticipate to be the order of matches tonight. Miro versus Chuck Taylor. If Chuck loses, then he has to be Miro's young boy, as Miro put it, until after Kip and Penelope's wedding. So Miro's debut was a bit lackluster. He almost hurt Kip. He almost hurt a couple of the other guys in the match. Overall, Rusev / Miro has been a bit, wily as far as his match quality and his safety in ring. But he's a great wrestler, and he has been an entertaining promo and character in the past, and even in some of these segments here as Miro, the best man, of course, that all getting rooted from him being a gamer. The accolade is now Game Over, his finisher, the Camel Clutch. So I think him getting into more singles matches might be good for him to kind of hone in on a better style. I know for sure his Twitch channel definitely isn't the highlight of his career right now. It's definitely got over 100 concurrent viewers most times in the stream, and people like Miro. He has a great personality and he's very fun, but the Twitch stream itself, all people talk about in his chat are WWE things and Lana and stupid things that nobody gives a shit about. So I would like to see this AEW character evolve much more than it has, outside of kayfabe on Twitch. Personally, I think it's very likely that Chuck will lose this match and follow through with the stipulation. AEW is very good about setting things up and paying them off, so if that is the case, I do wonder what the payoff will be. If Chuck wins this match, does that mean that best friends, Miro and Kip Sabian, will have a match under another stipulation later on, maybe for Revolution? Who knows? Next, we have The Waiting Room with Britt Baker and Reba featuring CODY. Now, CODY, of course, CODY Rhodes, has been on a very interesting run for the last few weeks. He's inserted himself quite well into the Sting / Darby Allin feud. He has the ear of Jade Catgill, of Shaq, I guess, through Shaq's rivalry with Brandy that hasn't been addressed recently, with Team Taz, Brian Cage, Will Hobbs. They all seem to have a problem with the Nightmare family. So I do wonder what this context will bring as far as people that will come into the waiting room, people that will want to feud with CODY. I anticipate this will give him a clear direction over who he will be wrestling at Revolution, because right now I think a lot of it's kind of up in the air. Just as well, Britt Baker has been on an excellent run the last 14 or 15 months. I think she is definitely one of the top contenders for most improved for 2020, if not the top contender. I think her wrestling got a lot better. Her promos have really shapened out now that she's committing to being a heel. And she has a lot of versatility. I think she works well in pre-tape. She's good live. She's good in the ring, before and after matches. And she works great with a lot of personalities. I think her and Tony Schiavone have such excellent chemistry, and he's another guy that provided so much to the AEW Dynamite program every single week. Next, let's talk about FTR with Tully Blanchard versus Jurassic Express with Luchasaurus. So Marco Stunt last week said he didn't need big guys' help like Luchasaurus to be a high-level competitor. He challenged the idea with FTR always talking all that shit that he's a small guy and he can't fight for himself. So he said, you know what? I'll face you in a tag match with Jungle Boy. I don't even need Luchasaurus there. And Tully Blanchard, of course, he's hyping up the boys. He's trying to get on Mark's bad side. So FTR is looking for some big wins, getting out of that title match loss to the Young Bucks. And I think, they're wrestling some of their best work of their career, but they do need to kind of toil around in the mid card of the tag division before getting ready for what I imagine is going to be a rematch against the Young Bucks somewhere down the line. I don't know if it's going to be at Revolution. I don't know if it's going to be at All Out, but I think that's a big storyline that people really need to be looking out for, is how FTR will be coming out of the next couple of months of booking and when their next title shot's going to come up, because they're one of the tag teams that will consistently be competing. They're a very up and down, high level, high work rate team. They don't really get involved in a lot of comedy per se, but their segments always carry that serious energy. So that's good for Jurassic Express, but I'm more interested in how this will launch pad the next month or so of booking for FTR. Next, we have Serena Deb versus Tay Conti for the NWA Women's World Championship. Not much to say here. I think Serena has excellent babyface energy. I think she really carries herself well as a world champion. And I think this is another excellent example of AEW continuing to be the epicenter of the wrestling world. They have Impact talent, NWA talent, a lot of diversity and acknowledgement of the greater ethos that wrestling is territorial. It's a very big world. It doesn't just exist in your promotion or your universe, as you could say WWE describes theirs. Next is Pac versus Eddie Kingston. Finally, the return of Pac in ring against a truly amazing main event talent, Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's programs and consistency the last year or so, and especially ever since this title shot versus Moxley, has been excellent. I think that he's carrying himself as if he's already won the AEW World Championship and it's his rightful throne. It's his to win back. I think he carries such an amazing energy for the upper mid-carders like Pac, like Orange Cassidy maybe in the future, like MJF, to compete against, because he carries the weight of somebody who's already proven themselves, and I think that's such an excellent energy for Pac to be encountering as he's moving up the card and getting back into the canon of AEW. Of course, he's had travel issues and visa issues, but that hasn't been any fault of his own. The coronavirus obviously did that to a lot of people, but seeing Pac come back and having a very big match against a guy like Eddie Kingston is a great thing to see. Two big angles, maybe non-wrestling in nature, leading up to our TNT Championship match. Of course, I'm talking about the Elite being in action. The Elite comprised of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, the dastardly world champion, and now the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. They have come and invaded the AEW scene. They are right now the Impact World Champions, and of course, seemingly all five of them are now under the control of Don Callis. I wonder how that's going to play out and how that's going to make sense, because the Young Bucks, of course, are EVPs in the company, and Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, doesn't really like Don Callis. So they will have to address that. They're going to have to make that make sense this week. Tonight, Wednesday night, Dynamite, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you live in New York or Miami or wherever, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. So make sure you tune in on TNT tonight. And of course, we have the Inner Circle and what their New Year's resolutions might be. The Inner Circle, of course, has seen a lot of turmoil between the feuds of Wardlow and Jake Hager, MJF trying to win the fancy of basically everybody in the Inner Circle, and Chris Jericho having his own doubts about MJF's stability and worth in the group, and of course Sammy Guevara's intentions with him constantly pushing back on the golden child, the next prodigy, MJF, somebody who Chris Jericho obviously has such a candor for. So it's going to be interesting to see what new developments we see tonight in the Inner Circle's constant feud. And finally, we have the main event, Darby Allin versus Brian Cage, with his manager, the captain, the leader of Team Taz, Taz himself, for the TNT Championship. The new belt has been premiered. Of course, the red strap going to the TNT champion for life, Brody Lee Jr., in honor of his father. The black strap is now the official current TNT championship. Darby is being marketed as the face of TNT, according to how the championship has been presented so far. And it's very important to see how this first defense of the new face of the network goes. I think a lot has been injected into this feud to make sure it's being elevated to that main event kind of champion status that it needs to be at. Some will say that a couple of the big programs here have been overbooked. Kenny Omega's World Championship pursuits, the Belt Collector, as he's being presumed, that has a lot of different angles right now, a lot of different people involved. And so does Darby Allin's interactions with Sting, Cody being on the outside of it, Team Taz and all their involvement right now, and other factions that might be interacting with them sometime soon. But I think the most important thing about how Sting/Darby versus Team Taz has been presented is it's good versus evil, it's justice versus injustice. We have a sense of morality and alignment very, very clear for us. And I think this has a potential to be a recurring feud for a very long time. I think the idea that Taz is the captain of this faction and is very present because of his place on AEW Dark commentary is critical to the success of the people on Team Taz, to the success of a lot of the mid-card talent that he's been elevating. And I think that Darby Allin's match here is going to be excellent. I don't anticipate him losing it right now. He has so much potential to go into 2022 even as the TNT champion. His quality is great. He can go for hours and hours. He is truly very talented, and I'm really excited for tonight's main event match for another amazing jam-packed 2-hour episode of AEW Dynamite. Remember, that's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on TNT. Check your local listings. It's going to be great. Honestly, it's the greatest weekly wrestling show on the planet right now. So make sure you check it out. I'm Zachary Mahabir. Thanks for listening, guys.